directed. Score! Game 7! Montez St. Louis! We are going back to Tampa Bay! Cavalier spinning. Cavalier looking. Trying to drop it off. Brings it in himself. Left it in the middle. Shot! Score!
Welcome, everybody, to a new series that we're starting out here on the Bay Bolts channel called Quick Strike. It's going to be a little review of every game that we have throughout the season and the playoffs. So I hope you all enjoy this new series. If you do enjoy it, please be sure to leave a like and leave a comment and let us know what you guys think. I'm here, as always, with my good friend Michael. Michael, how you doing?
I'm good. Playoff hockey has been awesome, and it's really nice to see the Lightning come back with such ferocity in their first actual game.
Yes, I was so happy to be able to watch that game. It's back. We are officially in phase 4. It was very exciting, even though for me anyway, that it was just a round robin game and this is based off of seeding. I had butterflies in my stomach coming out of the end of that game because I really wanted to win the game. And I think for a lot of Lightning fans, they might have felt that way too.
Yeah, totally. You could see it even in the Twitter energy. Like, I know Twitter can be a really tough place for criticism and whatnot, but from all the really good fans of the Lightning on Twitter and Instagram, on all these other social media platforms, they were just really excited to have Lightning hockey back. And we'll get into the game parts later, but for example, a lot of people were like, I'm so happy that I get to see just walls of Kucherov on my timeline. And I couldn't disagree with them. Like, I felt the same way.
Yeah, it was super exciting. Twitter is a fun place. For me, when I first got on Twitter and started following all the Lightning fans on there, it is so much fun to see your timeline just fill up all of the same tweets. Everybody, it's like everybody, even though we cannot be in the arena itself right now, we kind of have our own mini arena, so to speak. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're all together hanging out, watching the game. So it's a lot of fun for me, and I know it's a lot of fun for other people. But let's get into the game. I thought that this overall was a good game for the Lightning. 3-2 in a shootout was the final score of this one. But I think for the most part, the Lightning played a very good game overall.
I would agree with that. And we talked about on a couple of episodes back when we talked about the Eastern previews in the round robin. I know that I was the one that diverged from the other two of you and Phil, and said that the Capitals would be the one winning. And you did say that, if the Lightning weren't going to win, it was because the game against the Capitals was going to be the most difficult. And,
Yep.
Of course, that's first up on the schedule. And I thought they played really, really well. And there were some people on the Lightning that played much better than others, I will admit. But overall, I think that a lot of people did their jobs correctly. And at the end of the day, even though it's sort of not really a real win, a shootout win is never a real win, I would say that because no one got hurt and the Lightning played really well, I would consider that a real win.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Let's break it down period by period. I think that's going to be the best way to do this so we can really get a feel of how the game went. The first period I thought was a complete Lightning domination. And I know I might be biased as a Lightning fan, but I really thought the Lightning controlled this game in the first period. We did have the Nikita Kucherov goal, which, by the way, Kucherov just, again, showing how good of an elite player he has become. That was such a great shot that he had coming down the wing there. But the Lightning really controlled it. Most of the time, puck possession, it was the Lightning were controlling it. So this was a period that if you watched it, you thought, wow, this Lightning team is hungry and they want to win.
Yeah, totally. Nikita Kucherov is wonderful. I will say that right now. And I did so in a multitude of tweets, either covering the game or on my own Twitter account. But the person that made that first goal was Braden Point. He forced the turnover in the neutral zone. He had one of those NHL EA Sports deeks where you just put it through the guy, you put it around the guy, and you put your stick the other way. and he fed it to Kucherov, and Kucherov picked the perfect corner. It was a continuation of a just domination of the top line, who I will say now they should never be broken up. Put Stamkos on the second line. They should never be broken up. That top line is fantastic. But overall, like Kucherov, premier talent, and we saw that in the shootout. Point, premier talent. We saw that in the shootout. And Palat is a really good player. So overall, great.
Yeah, nailed it. Point has definitely shown that he is back to his old self with the speed. I mean, he did this multiple times in training camp, it sounded like, and in the exhibition game, and then he showed it that he can still do it on a consistent basis, which I think is something the Lightning lacked last year, and that's something we're going to want to see this. Obviously, this is only the first round robin game. We still have a couple more to go. There's a long way, but it's early positive signs, and Point was definitely a big part of it. But other than that, good period by the Lightning in the first period. Now, the second period I thought was a really interesting period. And I don't know if you're going to agree with me here, but when you look at the second period, at the end of the period, it was tied 2-2. But I thought, again, for the most part here, the Lightning kind of controlled this period. Now, the 2 goals by Washington were iffy goals. Some would probably say Vasi should have had those, but then again, we do expect that kind of thing to happen. That's going to happen from time to time. But they were ones that hit the 5 hole, and Vasi wasn't able to squeeze tight, and a Capitals player was able to push it into the back of the net. But other than that, I mean, the Lightning really controlled this. And then the other big thing, too, which I'm sure we're going to get to, was the penalties. The Lightning were obviously the one taking the penalties. The Lightning never got a chance on the power play this entire game, which is, I know, something Lightning fans are upset about. But the penalties really helped the Washington Capitals gain the momentum in this game, especially with no fans. That, you can't feed off fan energy in this game. And the Lightning being the quote-unquote home team in this one, I think didn't benefit from that. And I think the Capitals did benefit. But again, the Lightning, for the most part, I thought controlled this game when not on the power play 1-on-5-on-5.
I would mostly agree with that for the second period. They really, really struggled when it came to the final 2 minutes. It was 2 goals in, I believe, 2 minutes and 10 seconds or something like that. But in the grand scheme of the second period, they did really, really well. And I want to shout out Mitchell Stevens, one of my personal favorite players on the Lightning. I think that he could easily, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but in the future, be a top 6 contributor for the Lightning. I really like him. And he went to the front of the net and he just overworked the guy that was defending him, and he got the puck past Braden Holtby. Now, it was very, very concerning to see that they didn't get any power play calls for them. And I will not say that the Lightning didn't commit any penalties. I would say that they did. But with all of the just crazy calls that we're seeing in some of these other series, to have one team get no power plays doesn't look good on the officiating. And it really creates this one consistency that we're finding among officials, and that's inconsistency. And it's really problematic. I'm going to be honest. It's very, very tough to go into a game, see someone like Braden Point or Anthony Cirelli get taken down and not get a call against, and then see Kucherov, who was holding the stick, get called for a penalty 5 seconds later. It was really, really unfortunate to see. I can't get too mad at it, though, because they won.
Right, and I think you nailed it on the head going in the penalty situation. There was definitely some calls that were clearly missed. And it's more frustrating because the Lightning had 0 power plays. And again, I'll go back to this. I think power plays are a big momentum changer, and they're going to be very important. I should say special teams are a big momentum thing and can change the course of a game very quickly, and we kind of saw that in this second period. But also to touch on Stevens, he was absolutely fantastic. He was always in front of the net, like you mentioned, and definitely, you're right, does deserve a shout out. Going on to the third period here. Now, this is the period where I would say Washington, for the most of the period, was the better team. When watching the third period, I was nervous because Washington controlled the puck. They were in the zone a lot, and they played really well. But the Lightning, to give them credit here, played good defense and were able to stop Washington's attack a lot of the times. I think this is where Vasi shined the most. He had a couple good saves in the shootout, which we'll get to in a minute, but I think he played really well in this third period. I think this is where our defense showed, hey, even when we've got our backs against the wall, we can hold the fort down.
Yeah, I was sort of concerned about the Lightning's. I don't want to say their effort because I think they tried very, very hard during the third period, but it looks like they were just completely gassed. I don't know if their conditioning was up to snuff or anything, but we saw them against Florida and they were doing really well. And somebody commented, you know, the Washington Capitals are not the Florida Panthers. And yes, he is absolutely correct. The Capitals are much better than the Panthers. But I thought they looked fine in the Florida game, which made the lack of energy so concerning in the Washington game. So overall, I would say, Vasilevsky held the fort and they need to be better. Both things can be true.
Yeah, I agree. They definitely were not as fast as they were in the beginning of this game, but I think that could be due to some frustration, from that second period. I don't think many of the Lightning players were too happy with how that ended up being tied 2-2 because as we kind of mentioned, we thought for the most part, they did pretty well in that period. So, but then again, there's no excuses and you can't have bad periods in the playoffs because one bad period could cost you the game. There were a couple really close chances for the Capitals there. I mean, if one of those slid over the net, Capitals win this game. And obviously in the playoffs, you can't give up goals like that. Going into OT, though, there were no goals in that. I mean, this was a quick OT because we were playing regular season overtime rules, so it was just 5 minutes. And it was fun, I thought. It didn't feel like a normal 3-on-3 overtime because I think teams in the round robin are still kind of trying to slowly get it going. There was a lot of physicality here, but what do you think? Do you think that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you think the round robin teams are kind of still slowly trying to pick up the pace here?
Yeah, I would say that. I would be concerned with, the way that they were in terms of what they did if this was, an actual 3-on-3, but they were playing for the shootout. It was very obvious by that, except for a couple scoring chances for both sides, because with the energy of the 3-on-3, there's a very good chance that, and I hate saying this, but there's a very good chance that someone, gets injured if they, skate the wrong way or they hit the goalie the wrong way because it's just so fast paced. So I'm very happy that that didn't happen. And Vasilevsky, again, had some big, big saves. And to be fairly honest, Braden Holtby had some big, big saves, to give him some credit. He was very good on the Capital side of things in 3-on-3. So again, like, I know I keep repeating myself, but I'm cool with it. Like, it was a very good game all around, and even though they were very passive during 3-on-3, I think at the end of the day, it's fine.
Yeah, and you're right. And I think for every team, their goal at the end of the day is to not get hurt. And so even though the intensity isn't up to 100%, wasn't a big surprise. And keep in mind too, if once we get into the playoffs, this is not going to be how overtime works. Obviously, we're going to go to the playoff overtime where it's 5-on-5 for 20 minutes. So, things could go a lot differently. But that's not what we're doing for the round robin. Now, let's move into the shootout, which I know a lot of people are not a fan of. I personally am a fan of it. But TJ Oshie started off for the Capitals, and man, he is just so good at the shootout. We got to give him credit here. Obviously, he got his big break in the Olympics when he scored all those goals for Team USA, which was so much fun to watch. But, I mean, he had a great move on Bassey here for this goal.
Yeah, I was concerned after that goal, to be honest. Like, I was concerned that the Lightning were going to lose because when you allow the first shooter to score, that just diminishes your confidence as a goaltender. And Vasi has had that happen to him many, many times. So when Oshie made that really nice move and had this wide open section of the net to Vasilevsky's blocker side, I was like, here we go again. the Lightning are just going to allow all of these people to score for Washington, and they need to score if they're going to continue this. Luckily, Vasilevsky shut the door, even though it was admittedly pretty concerning at the beginning.
Right, and I didn't think Hedman's first shot was that great either. I mean, we've seen that from the Lightning a lot, where they'll just kind of come down and try to pick a spot and shoot it. Granted, it did work the next 2 times, which we'll get to in just a second. But yeah, I'm with you. I was definitely concerned after Oshie's goal and Hedman's, to me, lackluster of a shot. But let's talk about, which we kind of mentioned at the beginning, Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov, 2 of the players that obviously stood out in this game. And both of them actually had almost identical shots, both going to that right side, that glove side, which seems to be weakness for Holtby, but great shots by both of them. They both picked their spots and got the Lightning to win in this, at the end of the day. So great job by them. Brian mentioned this on the broadcast. He's kind of talked about how you're going to have some leaders step up. And those guys are the ones that are going to have to get going first, and the other guys will follow. And Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point, those are the leaders of the Lightning, and they have stepped up, which I think is a good sign if you're a Lightning fan and looking at the future here. You're saying, okay, our top guys, they're going right now. And hopefully we'll see some of the lower guys and some of the lower lines follow.
Absolutely. And to reiterate that point about the shootouts, what I've noticed about the Lightning is that they'll have someone go one way and then shoot the other. So on this particular case, Nikita Kucherov started on the left-hand side, skating down on Braden Holtby, and shot it below his glove side, which was his right-hand side off the post and in. When I watched Jonathan Marchessault used to shoot for the shootouts, he would do the exact same thing that Braden Point would do, which is he would skate on the right-hand side, and then he would put it glove side over the glove of the goaltender on the left-hand side. So the philosophy of the Lightning shooters in the shootout is very similar, and that's why I'm very happy that in the playoffs, they're not that predictable, because the shootout does not exist in the playoffs. I don't think it should, and I hope it never does. But again, they played really, really well overall. They deserved the win, but at the same time, with the way that the Capitals played in the end of the second, majority of the third, I wouldn't have been too upset if the Lightning would have lost.
Yeah, I agree. This was, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, again, this was one of the games I thought if the Lightning are going to lose one of these games, it would definitely be the one against the Capitals. But overall, great game. I agree with you there, too, that they deserved to win this game, and they did end up winning it, which is really nice. So this technically does put the Lightning at the top of the round-robin standing. So if it were to end today, the Lightning would be the number 1 seed. So still have 2 more games to go. The next game up for the Lightning is going to be against the Boston Bruins. I expect Tuukka Rask to be back for that game if he does start. He was held out. He was considered unfit to play. It sounded like he had a cough, and when he put that down for NHL protocols and all that, it sent off a bunch of red flags, so he had to be quarantined for a little bit, but it does sound like he's okay and it's good to go. So that'll be another interesting game. This is another very good opponent, one the Lightning have a history with, so we'll see how the physicality goes and if Lightning can pull off another win in that one. So it'll be interesting. Now, anything else you want to add, Michael?
Nothing in terms of the way that the team looked, but I thought one person that looked actually pretty good, and I've been a huge critic of his, is Zach Bogosian. I do not like the fact that he is playing with Victor Hedman. I will be adamant about that, but as a stay-at-home defenseman, I thought he was actually pretty good for the Lightning. He's got this cannon of a shot. He looks like he can skate much better than he did when the Lightning first acquired him. I'm not saying that he should sit out, honestly. And I think if he's playing with a mobile left-hand defenseman, then sure, why not? Put him in. He can be a good stay-at-home. He's got this absolute blister that, yes, did at one point hit Braden Point square in the nuts, which was really, really funny. Not in this game, but just overall.
Yeah, I remember.
And I'm kind of cool with Bogosian right now, and that may change, but not opposed to him right now.
Right, and obviously any of this can change very quickly, as we would know. But yeah, Bogosian sounded like he had a very good training camp, which is why he even got this opportunity to be starting in these round robin games. When he does, he's got a really good shot. I believe he had a couple of big hits early on there as well. So he's a good guy to have on the team. So I also would like to give a shout out to Tyler Johnson, even though he wasn't necessarily, big on the score sheet, I thought he played a pretty good game as well. His name was called out there multiple times. He was fighting for pucks in the corners. I thought, for as he's considered one of our bottom 6 forwards, but I thought he played a very decent game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Johnson was playing on the top 6 with Cirelli and Killorn. On the third line, you had Goudreau, Gord, and Coleman, which I thought was a great line. And on the fourth line, you had Maroon, Stevens, and Paquette. Paquette's done a really good job at the wing. And just overall, I thought the offense as a whole did a really good job, not only generating scoring chances, but back-checking and playing defense, which is something that we really didn't see for the Lightning when the 2019 playoffs rolled around. Their defense kind of had to step up, and Victor Hedman wasn't the same Victor Hedman that we knew, and it turned into a big mess because the offensive forwards, the majority of them weren't playing defense. So it's nice to see that things have changed on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's just about everything covered for that game, unless there's anything else we need to talk about. But other than that, I hope everybody enjoyed this. This was a little quick game recap for you guys. If you did enjoy it, again, please be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our other content. Be sure to follow us on Twitter as well and all the other social media platforms so you can get our live play-by-play game coverage, giveaways, and all the other articles we talk about for the team and so much more. So, and check the description down below for affiliate links and all that other kinds of good stuff. So we will see you guys on Wednesday.